Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Feel a sense of zen knowing Zencastr's multi-layered backups ensure you always have your recordings in the highest quality, even if the connection is unstable. If you thought about podcasting before and realized that you need a lot of different tools and services, those days are over. With Zencastr's all-in-one podcasting platform, you can create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
I'm Josh Bell.
And I'm Jason Harris, and we co-host a podcast called Awesome Movie Year.
Each season, we take a look back at an awesome year for movies, which is every year.
We deep dive into these specific years, and we pick out why they were such great years for films. We go over the biggest hits, the biggest flops, the best pictures, some personal picks, some cult classics.
Years we've covered in past seasons include 1994, 2003, 1977, and 1984, and we've got all of film history to look forward to. So check us out at awesomemovieyear.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I had the most beautiful dream. It was the perfect day. And all I could think about was how much I wanted to cut you all open and then climb inside your bodies so that we could stay one happy family.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hello.
This week, we're discussing the horror new classic, Evil Dead Rise, starring some people. I don't know who they are or what they're up to, but there are some actors in this.
There are some actors. If they will act again, that is a mystery.
It is a mystery. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genre with a comedic twist. Aaron, what's up with you? What's the latest?
Top 20 Polaroid photographers of Polaroid Week. Boop, boop.
I saw that. Congratulations.
Second time.
Oh, shit. Here we go.
Here we go.
Boom.
It has not enriched my pocket, but has warmed my heart.
Well, that's a step in the right direction. How does one, receive these honors?
Basically, people are just watching. People are watching Polaroid Week. You either post on like Instagram. It's a Flickr thing. Remember Flickr?
I remember Flickr.
So this is a Flickr thing. So there's a group. So twice a year, you're given a specific week. And by a week, it's 6 days. I don't know why it's not 7 days.
That's not a week.
So you can post a certain number of photos every day, and there's just people watching. So not only did I get the honor of going into Analog Forever's website for that, but I also, one of my other pictures got picked on iExplore for Flickr, which means you're on the home page.
Sweet.
But that's more computer generated. But
okay.
It fit the right algorithm, and I've been lucky that most years I get chosen for that. But it's still like, then 1,000 people start going, thank you, thank you, thank you. Now 10,000 people have seen your picture.
Sweet.
And 100 of them said, I like it.
Millions have seen it.
And
dozens have liked it.
Swiped right by it.
Wah, wah, wah. Well,
The problem with Polaroid is it still has the reputation of like the 70s. When you think of Polaroids, you think of you're taking dirty pictures of your girlfriend and your wife. So those kind of pictures, 100% get the top views.
oh, I'm sure. So you think people are swooping in to find out if it's here's a picture of my nubile young girlfriend, or was that what you're saying?
Trust
Oh,
me.
no.
I
Oh,
can take the perfect picture of a clothed person, and then there'll be just your random girlfriend in some Motel 6 room, and that's going to have 10,000 pictures. Because it's still, most photographers are they women? No.
I wonder why that is. Why do you think that is? There are
I don't know.
more.
Photography can be like math. I mean, not that
Okay.
women don't do math, but it's
What does that mean?
technical. It is. I don't know what it is. It's more sciencey. It's more cold. It's one step removed. You know,
Are
what I'm
men
saying?
more guided towards these fields than women? Is that what you're suggesting?
Dude, I go to these even with Polaroid, when you think it's happy snappy, it's 90% men. It is a sausage fest of young hipsters.
Womp womp. Kind of like
There's
podcasting.
like me and a dude my age. Everybody else is 30s, some 20s, a couple early 40s.
Well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Well, where can people go and see your fancy photography? Since we're on this.
Well, it's Analog Forever. It's a real publication, but they also have like a monthly thing where it's a shout out. You can submit work for
Sweet.
different themes, but twice a year they pick out their favorite 20 images from Polaroid Week. So there's one in the spring and there's one in the fall. So go check it out, Analog Forever.
Sweet. Because you and I both know we get emails from time to time where it's like, apply to be receiving an award. And that's not what you did. You're just doing your thing and they happen to find it. So
All right,
good on you.
So here's, speaking of doing my thing, this is how I almost got scammed. I checked my email and I have an email from Polaroid. So I was like, what is this? Because I always tag them, right?
Right.
Hey, it was like, we've seen your work on Instagram. It's very amazing. We would like to start sending you product that you can feature on your website. We know you don't have a lot of followers now, but we hope that that this will grow.
You have potential.
I was like, because a lot of the people at these conventions, they do get stuff. They are all getting. They're like, Aaron, you just ask. I'm like,
influencers.
You've got like thousands of followers, and I have 600. They're like, you just ask. So I was like, oh my God, I've been discovered. Until I get to the part where they want to start sending me like $3,000 every 3 months or something, which could be paid by Zelle. And then I was like, okay, I got like 600 followers. Ain't nobody. I could see you want to send me some free film, like a couple packs of film, and then I'll promote it. Maybe. Okay. Now you want to send me. I was like, motherfucker. So I got on Reddit and they're like, scam, scam, scam. And they're like, what you didn't notice was that the dude who is the creative director, the name is right. They don't usually spell their last name with a lowercase letter. And believe it or not, Polaroid, the corporation, doesn't use Gmail.
Womp, womp, womp.
I was like, no, I knew this was too good, you bastards.
You bastards. Very upsetting.
But it was too good. It didn't say like, dear the cult of Aaron. It was like, dear Aaron. Da, 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 da. I was like, okay.
A little too personalized.
Bastards.
Yeah. You're going to have to give us some Target gift cards to start, though. So meet us in the parking lot of the Bakersfield. Yeah.
That's right. It's on its way. Just a matter of time. In 5 years, I'll fall for it, and I'll just start handing over all my paychecks, and then you'll see me on Dr. Phil. But I gave my Nigerian boyfriend $250,000.
I had to sell my house.
He says the camera on his phone doesn't work for 5 years.
For 5 years. Give us your 30-second synopsis of Evil Dead Rise, for goodness sake.
Oh my God, what a fucking piece of shit. So you're just gonna have to bleep that out. Clearly marketed for high school boys. Because they're the only ones who are gonna sit through this. Kids find a bank vault in a parking garage after the longest earthquake in the state of California. So they crawl in the cracks, and suddenly it's also a Jesus bank vault because now there's 1,000 crosses everywhere. I'm like, downtown LA was never so religious. So of course you got to put on the records because one of your kids is a freaking DJ.
Yep.
And then has to like speed it up.
Just to hear it, right?
Just to hear it because it was too slow. So, it was a 78. So wouldn't you have to slow it down? I mean, most people don't know that records come in different speeds. Old kids, come sit in Grandma's knee and I will tell you, back in the old days, it was 78 revolutions per minute.
What about 33 and a third?
33 in the third is for the regular 12-inch records. And then for the singles, those were called 45s. So why they were called 45s?
Is that the speed that you have to play it at?
As a matter of fact. And nowadays, when you buy one of these modern turntables, there is no 78.
Interesting. This is a walk down memory lane. Anything else about the plot that you want to?
So anyway, there's this old 78s he's trying to play on his DJ mixer because the family lives in some kind of haunted mansion that looks just like the Hotel Artemis. If you ever saw that movie.
Yes, I did.
They live in Hotel Artemis with Jodie Foster.
Yeah.
And yet they have $10,000 for his DJ gear. Because mom's a tattoo artist, and that pays for all that. So, of course, first of all, once a book bites you, personally, I'm not going to then play the accompanying records that go along with it. You know, everyone's possessed, the disease spreads, yada, 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 the end. I don't know why we had the beginning. That didn't make any sense.
Well, what was it? It was...
Because the people at the end are the people from the beginning. But the whole story is about groovy goth mom and her kids getting taken over by the Sumerians.
Right. It was just kind of a bizarre little...
Weren't the Sumerians around before Christ? So yes, why would they be evil? And why would a cross do anything for them?
These are important questions. We don't know the answers to all these things. Sweet Jesus. Now, this is your first viewing. Is that correct, Aaron?
Oh, and you know what else?
It's your last?
It is my last. It is pure trash.
Last?
I miss me old Evil Dead.
Well, this one came out, I want to say a year and a half ago, give or take, maybe a year ago. And it was like very successful. Like there was buzz. When in the theaters, like they were going to release this. This is kind of behind the scenes. They were just going to release this on streaming, and the reaction was so positive they put it in theaters.
Okay, but not adults. It's going to be okay. Once again, what you don't know, kids. We were talking about boys and boy podcasts and Wally George and Howard Stern before this, so this would just roll right into that. This is a film for adolescent boys, college-age boys, boys in their 30s. This is one
just
of those
boys of all ages.
Boys of all ages, where they want to get together with other boys. And, I mean, because it's really nothing. It doesn't bring anything new.
You know, it's because this is the first viewing that I had for this as well. But I wanted to, because I was kind of torn. I wanted to see it, but I remember having seen the remake for the show, the 2013 version. And we've talked about this before. We thought it was very technically well made, but it was just so violent.
Yeah.
So violent to make it. And again, I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination, but it was so kind of like saucy.
It takes away from the enjoyment.
100%. 100%. It's kind of an Eli Roth hostile kind of quality to it, where it's just so kind of cringy, the violence, that it didn't make me want to rush out and see it.
Right.
But
I mean, this one is not as bad, but they
No.
want to make a fucking homage. All these young filmmakers, I assume this is a young filmmaker, every 2 seconds has to be, oh, that's from this, that's from that, this is from this. It's like boring done.
Well, it's interesting because I feel, and I think you might agree with me, that the Bruce Campbell Evil Dead movies, at least the two later ones, Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the kind of heart of it is kind of slapstick humor.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's not really.
That's why they're trying to write off this Evil Dead thing when this really, except for a haunted book, has nothing to do. I mean, it is at its soul not the Evil Dead. The Evil Dead is a special franchise. And stop calling it the Evil Dead.
Well,
it's not.
Right. So it's like, it's meant to be kind of funny. It's like, now there are gross moments.
And there were some genuinely scary moments in at least the Evil Dead. There's nothing scary about Army of Darkness.
No, there isn't.
But it is still a beloved classic.
Right. And there are violent moments, and there are scary moments, and there are, I want to say gloppy moments, if you will. But these movies, 2013 specifically, but even this one, where they've kind of taken, there's no hint of comedy. No, not even a whiff of comedy. And instead, they take kind of those cringy moments, and that's what these movies are. They're kind of these violent moments. Now, this movie...
And there's no hope.
Right. Well, and that's, honestly, that would have been the other movies as well if it wasn't so funny.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, because people are turning into demons left and right. No rhyme or reason.
Exactly.
You know, and that's kind of like this movie as
movie. It's a comedy,
well.
so you don't care.
You don't care. Right. It doesn't upset you because, yes, you know, your brother just became a demon. But who cares? We're having a good old time.
We're having a good time. And again, I would recommend Evil Dead the Musical if you have a chance at your local playhouse to go see that.
At your local playhouse, 100%. But like when this movie came out, Evil Dead Rise, I keep wanting to call it Evil Dead Rises.
Me too. I kept typing in Evil Dead Rises and it kept saying Evil Dead Rise. I'm like, no, that can't be it.
That can't be it, because it seems like kind
sisters. What? No, that's not it.
That can't be it.
Apparently, it was.
But I remember, like, they, you know, if you watch the commercials or whatever, they were kind of give you hints, or on Twitter or X or whatever. The publicity was about cheese grater. It's like,
oh yeah,
get ready. There's a cheese grater moment, and I'm like, I'm not looking forward to that. If 2013 was any indicator, I'm not dying to see a cheese grater violent scene.
And we've seen cheese grater and other things. That's why I was like, are they just gonna every 5 minutes reference something else in this movie?
Well, what's interesting about this movie, since we're just jumping right in, is a lot of her dialogue is lifted right up from Army of Darkness. Like at one point she says, come get some to the demons that she's squishing into the wood chipper.
Yeah, not effective. I found that all that stuff irritating. Because already I'm not enjoying this movie, and you're going to take something that I do enjoy and ruin it for me. So thanks. Thanks, mother. Your hands off of me, you stinking ape.
You stinking ape, 100%. So, but yes, so there's the beginning scene where it's people at the lake, or they're at the cabin at the lake, and I think you're supposed to think on some level that it's the same cabin in the woods from the other movies.
Right.
But I don't think it is. Am I wrong?
No. I mean, I guess you're supposed to think that, right?
Well, that's the thing. The other movies, there was no lake. There was no lake in any of the other
maybe
movies.
they just didn't walk far enough. There were some streams because the bridge washes out.
Oh, that's true.
Somewhere.
Well, that was a bridge. It was a bridge over like a ravine. It was a
bridge over troubled water.
A bridge over troubled water. So they have that big opening scene where, somebody's possessed, shit goes down, and then it cuts to 3 days earlier.
Right.
3 days earlier. Now, in the end of the movie, what was it? A girl arrives?
Yeah. No, a girl's leaving. All this shit went down in their dilapidated apartment.
Right.
She's leaving to go get into her car because she's going to pick up her sister to go to the woods.
Go to the cabin. And then because you're right. So she's just, there are people in this apartment building who I guess were just oblivious to the demonic possession that was going down on one floor. They were on a bad floor.
On that floor. Cell service was shite on that floor. Everybody else is just living their lives.
Just living their life. Because you're right. So let's talk about this. There are the two sisters. There's the single mom whose husband just bounced.
She's the cool goth mom
with the tattoos
in the apartment with her weird little Wednesday Adam daughter who looks like an angel but makes like spider babies out of doll pieces.
Correct. She's got 3 kids who are all kind of non-binary. Because Caleb walked in and was like,
that's what trans? I thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that her son? But I was like, or is he trans? Or is he just at that age where they still have the high voice? I was like, but I was keeping an eye. I was still processing. I was trying to identify. But yeah, and then the other daughter, not so in the middle. I'm not sure. And then you just have the blonde baby.
Right. It was kind of like really a snapshot in life in America right now. Like, here's this family. It's a single mom who's a tattoo artist who's got 3 kids.
So is this a statement? Look what happens when you turn your back on Jesus. In Trump's America, this will not happen.
100%. And so then
it is. Oh my God. This is some Republican propaganda because it's just like the old horror movies. If you're a slut, you're going to die. If you're a goth mom with transgender children, look what happens.
You may be right. Now that you mention it, you may be right. Because it was kind of, you and I both know, and people who listen to this show, we're both kind of, let's just say, left-leaning. So we're not... But it definitely stood out. When you saw the family unit, you're like, well, this is a choice. This is, it doesn't have to be, Leave It to Beaver, if you know what even that means. I mean, that's a reference.
Come on.
It doesn't have to be the Brady Bunch, which was a blended family, in case you guys missed it. So, thank you.
I missed that. These are not all her children?
The youngest one in curls.
God. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, it does seem to be a statement, right? If we go with the rules of horror, this is a statement because look at the disaster that has befallen them.
Right.
When the kids don't listen, otherwise you wouldn't be crawling in the cracks.
Right? 100%. So the single mom's sister, who's like a roadie for like a heavy metal band or something like that.
She's like an electrician, but her mom tells everyone she's a groupie. So her mom thinks that she's a flaky whore. So it's what it is. Am I right? Or
no,
what?
You're absolutely right. You're right. She has a job. This is a job that she does, which there's no shame in this. She goes and you're right. She's an electrician. She sets up whatever. She gets the soundboard ready. Whatever it is she does, it's a real job. She's not just some.
And every 6 months she gets knocked up and then has to go home so her sister can give her an abortion. Is that what it is?
There was something about that she'd had problems before. Good Lord. So maybe she is a groupie. I mean, let's call it what it is.
She's just living that alternative left coast lifestyle.
That's what it is. 100%. Get on board.
This is deep. Who is really funding this film? I'm becoming more concerned.
Is Kirk Cameron the executive producer, or what's?
Oh, good heavens! This is funded by the LDS, and
good heavens is right. So, anywho, so she comes back to visit. They're not estranged, but they've kind of lost touch, and she didn't even know her sister's marriage had fallen apart. And she's like, "Oh, where's Steve? Oh, yeah, he bounced. He bounced last week. Sorry, you must have missed my text message."
He got arrested January 6th.
Uh-oh, here it is. Political prisoner. So, and I have to think, does the earthquake happens first? Right? So the two teenage kids go to get pizza, but there's a huge crack in the parking garage underneath their apartment building, and the son climbs down in there. So, like you said, I think as one does into the crevasse, if you will, 127 hours, and I think they do say this used to be a bank. This building used to be a bank before they converted it to apartments or something. And they discover the vault.
It's Hotel Artemis. I don't care what the they say. It is literally the same decoration in the hallways. It's got to be the same set.
It is Jodie Foster. It is Sterling K. Brown from This Is Us. 100%. That's
and Dave Bautista.
Is Dave Bautista?
True love.
He's
the nurse.
You're right. You're right. I saw that once, and I'm trying to remember it. But yes, it's one of those wacky kind of Tarantino-esque kind of heist movies where it's like, oh, the shit's going down.
I actually enjoyed it, and I had heard bad things about it.
You have to be in the mood. Anywho, there's a vault underneath the earth, like you said, where it's like, and I guess do they call it the Necronomicon, or do they call it something else?
No, they did not. They just called it the Book of the Dead.
The Book of the Dead, which it seems like this is not, on some level you say it's got to be a connected universe, right? With the previous movies, but how did the book wind up in this vault? Which
it makes no sense.
Right.
Because they would have been the same time. So how could it be in this vault when clearly it was pressed on old records from I don't know when they used those records, in the 30s, 40s?
Something like that. Coming up on 100 years, it had been in this vault.
So that means this has no relevance from the previous remake of The Evil Dead. Unless there's multiple copies. They took it to Kinko's.
Yes.
Paid extra for the human flesh binding.
That is extra.
That is extra. And away they went. And they distributed it all through the world.
All through the world. Now, I realize vinyl's making a comeback, but this was very fortuitous that, the evil spells, because it wasn't reel to reel, right? If it had been reel to reel, then I guess we're okay.
Or the Necronomicon on 8-track.
100%.
I got to pull out my Jerry Reed 8-track so I can put in the Necronomicon.
Now, tell the world, why were these called 8-tracks?
Because it had 8 tracks. I don't know. All I know is they were very inconvenient because you couldn't just skip to a song. You could skip to one of 4 tracks.
Sweet Lord.
It's not like a cassette.
No.
You could get near the song, but you couldn't go to a specific song.
I see. Get near a song, but who's to say how near?
And why are they called? I know that it's called 8 tracks because there's 8 tracks on the tape, I think is what it is.
8 songs? Isn't a song a track?
On the magnetic tape, I think there's 8 rows.
Oh, shit. Now you're talking in a foreign language. That's a bridge too far. I just remember you had your Chevy van, and you could just pop that 8-track in there, pow, and you're ready to rock, right?
I mean, we know about 8-tracks because our parents used to have one of those big console stereos that was
100%.
as big as a giant buffet, and you slid the top open so you couldn't actually put flowers in there. And there was your turntable.
Yep.
And then ours had a slot so you could slam an 8-track.
You got to slam it in there, pow.
You gotta slam it.
100%. There's nothing like it. Now, there is nothing like it.
There is nothing like it.
Because, I mean,
Although Depeche Mode,
they had an 8-track.
they have an 8-track. That last album, you could buy an 8-track. You could buy it on 3 different kinds of LPs. You could buy a cassette. You could buy a CD. And you could buy a limited edition clear red 8-track.
That's so bizarre.
Isn't that crazy?
Why are these dead technologies coming back? Is my question to you.
I think people feel life is getting out of control, and they want something that they can touch and feel they have some control over. That's why analog. That's why digital photography. Actually, they're starting like the old Coolpix cameras. Those are tripled in price, where you can get them at a swap meet for $3. Now they want to sell them for $100. But people want to process film. They want to do things instead of having things done for them. At least right now.
No, I mean, and I'll say this. I know a lot of people in the podcasting game, especially the movie podcasting game, it's all about the physical media, like you're talking about. But it's not, like, I'll still get the occasional 4K Blu-ray, blah, blah, blah. But there are people who are like getting like, VHS tapes.
Oh, it's
and I'm
huge.
like, what are we doing?
Our new record store, it was so popular, they just expanded into 4 times their space. And they're selling VHS. I mean, right now, those old TVs with the built-in VHS, if you have one or see one at a swap meet, they're selling for like $600-700.
Oh, I think we threw one by the dumpster.
Of course, everybody did.
Years ago.
This ain't ever coming back.
Oh, hell to the no.
I was going to say my old bootleg copy of Willow that I had to buy on eBay because you couldn't get it for 1,000 years.
You couldn't. I've done that in the past. In the distant past, I'd go on Amazon, so it wasn't that distant. I would get a VHS of a movie that I remember enjoying 30 years ago that had never made the transition from VHS to. But I'll say this: nowadays there are companies like Arrow Video, Vinegar Syndrome, who are constantly just pumping out remasters of previously forgotten and abandoned films from back in the day. So just
I go to this website. I'm on their mailing list. It's a company called Retrospect, and it's all the little Game Boy Classic. It is Walkman.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I have one of I have a whole pile of little Walkman I've picked up for like $2 and $3. And then I have the portable CD player with the no skip with its own little holder that I picked up at a garage sale. This is why behind me you see chaos. Because I'm like, but it's only $3. Mommy must buy.
Yeah, that's why it's chaos behind you. Because I remember driving the perilous mountain roads from Palm Springs to San Diego State, the back roads. And I had a Discman is what they were called for CDs.
But be careful, you don't want it to skip.
Right. So you'd plug in the jack, and then it had the kind of a fake tape that you'd push into the tape deck, and then it would play, the CD would play over your speakers or whatever. So then you're like driving, that CD's over, you're trying to like change the CD while you're trying not to drive off a cliff.
We're getting a whole history of technology. And then you hit a rock and the whole thing would skip and you're going to ruin your CD. So then they came out with $100 more, you can get the anti-skip.
Yep.
Then for $800 more, you can get a 6 CD changer and put it in your trunk.
Yep.
So you can pull over at the rest stop after you've listened to because you have to actually physically leave the car and go to your trunk, take out your luggage, and then put 6 more CDs.
100%. I had that. Anyway, let's get this back on the track.
That's when I knew I was rich, because I spent ridiculous money at the dealership for that bullshit.
CD changers, 100%.
I
Anywho,
can't be putting it just one at a time.
can't do it. I cannot be held responsible for doing that. Anywho, so the 2 teenagers find the Book of the Dead. They find some records, some old ass, not a wax cylinder or anything. It's literally a record that they take upstairs. But like you said, it was convenient that he was actually like a DJ.
Hey, Mr. DJ, put the devil's record on.
And he does. And that's when the shit goes down. But it is kind of a bizarre thing, because what happens? It's the mom gets possessed for no reason, right? She's coming out of the elevator, bam, now she's possessed.
The demon met her on her way up.
Yeah, that's right. They shared the elevator. But that happens where it's like people get a scratch and suddenly they're possessed. Other people get stabbed. I'm fine. No hint of a demon here.
And some people just are in the wrong place. It's highly contagious. We don't know how it spreads like COVID.
That's right. Were you wearing your mask? Are masks effective? Who's to say?
Are masks effective against Sumerians?
That's the question. So, yeah, there's a lot of that. Now, I have to say, and let me know what your opinion on this is. I'm kind of like not a fan of seeing like obviously young people getting turned into demons. You know what I mean? These aren't like Andrea Zuckerman's a 35-year-old high school student. These were like seemingly age appropriate.
What if Andrea was the mother and all her children looked exactly like her? Would that have been better?
I always tell people in 90210, the girl I was most attracted to was Andrea Zuckerman.
That
all
sounds
35.
like a mother fetish. I'm going to tell Mom next time I have a glass of wine.
But that's the way they did it back in the day. They would like the people who were supposed to be high school students were obviously not high school age. So these kids, all 3 of them seemed age appropriate, which made it kind of upsetting that they're getting demonized.
You don't want their mom to hurt them.
Right.
Otherwise it's hereditary.
It's 100%.
We don't want that. But let me tell you, nobody here has the acting chops like Toni Collette. Boom.
Oh God. Yes. Hereditary, if you haven't seen it, I wouldn't see it, frankly, if I were you, because it is too upsetting.
Really good. But it's yeah.
Too upsetting. But it's like, so the mom's possessed and I mean, I don't know. The acting is quite good, but she had kind of a demonic face to begin with. Like she had a creepy smile, like the Joker or whatever. She's on all the posters. So
yeah, she looks like one of the monsters from Beetlejuice. You know, after when they stretch their face out to try to scare the family, that's what she looks like.
100%. 100%. So she was quite
of that, you're going to see the new Beetlejuice, right?
Beetlejuice?
Beetlejuice.
I imagine I probably will wind up seeing it, although I do appreciate that Winona Ryder's character is like looks exactly the same, exact same hairstyle. It's been 40 years. Are you telling me she has not changed 1 ounce of style? She's still as gothy as ever? Anywho, sweet Jesus. So to answer your question, I will probably see it. Although I don't know why Beetlejuice looks so much older these days. But
is Baldwin going to be in it?
Not that I've seen. Catherine O'Hara's in it.
I love Catherine O'Hara. And what's his face is going to be in it?
Who?
Beetlejuice.
Well, yeah, Michael Keaton and Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara. I'm sure others, but those are the ones I know about.
Well, not the gentleman who paid the father. He got canceled quite some time.
Oh, Jeffrey Jones. Yes, he will not be on it
he will not be joining us.
Don't ask what's on his hard drive at home. That's all we're saying. Don't ask no questions. One scene that I found particularly upsetting is the aunt walks into the kitchen to discover the daughter is like got a wine glass and is just eating the glass.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, good grief. And then you see her swallow the chunk of glass going down her throat.
The other part that was upsetting is when all the neighbor and his kids all get killed.
Which happens lickety split, right?
Yeah.
They kind of push mom into the hallway, which was kind of rude at that moment. Because then you see all the friendly neighbors get killed one right after another, right out through the peephole. I'm like, well, shit. You can't really wipe out the entire cast in 2 seconds, but that's what they did. So it's kind of like the thing about these Evil Dead movies is that when they're kind of trapped in the cabin in the woods, usually the cast is only 5 or 6 people, right? So you have, one person gets possessed and 2 people's possessed, and then suddenly it's like you're running out of cast members.
So on, and so on, and so on.
100%. Yeah. So it's like you start running out of, people to not, be the victim. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, we have to have somebody to root for. And if you're turning everybody into demons, lickety split, that causes a problem.
Yeah.
So
my complaint was when he was playing his demonic records at full bass.
Yes.
No one noticed that. How come the neighbors are not? Turn that shit down. People from downstairs with a broom handle. Turn your devil music down.
Turn that devil shit down, for God's sakes. But yes, and then there's the cheese grater scene where it was like at some point you realize that the aunt is like the hero, the central protagonist who's trying to survive, and eventually it's just her trying to save the youngest niece, who thankfully does not become demonized. But yeah, all the high school kids become demons. And the mom becomes a demon, and that's it.
The neighbor kid chokes on his dad's own eyeball. Chokes to death.
Which was a callback. That was a callback from Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn, where that happens.
Not as good.
But it was so bizarre.
All callbacks.
Yes, 100%. Well, and that's the thing. The eyeball scene in Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn is freaking hilarious. It is hilarious because it's like
it is disgusting.
But it was gross, but not as gross as other things. So it almost seemed like kind of jokey, kind of inappropriately jokey in this moment when 5 minutes ago somebody's getting a cheese grater on the back of their leg. So
it was jokey, and then you hear the youngest brother screaming and getting killed. So that turned the joke off real quick.
Yes, no question. No question. Then there's the obviously the thrilling conclusion where
we didn't talk about Ebola sister.
Lay it on me.
The sister was all of a sudden she had hemorrhagic fever where blood is just pouring out of her eyes and her nose and her mouth and her ears. I believe somebody vomits in someone's mouth, which is also a Sam Raimi classic.
That's a Sam Raimi classic.
At least twice. I was like, okay, so we're already vomiting in the first 5 minutes of the film.
100%. And then the audience starts vomiting at that point. No, you're right. Okay. The mom goes after the daughter with the tattoo gun on it's not a gun, it's a needle, on the face. And 5 minutes later, you're right. Full blown, throwing up, oozing black.
Yes, she got Ebola.
She got Ebola. 100%. It is Outbreak with Dustin Hoffman is what we're dealing with right now. 100%. Good grief.
They determine the mother is dead and yet keep trying to kill her.
You're right.
She's already dead. She's already dead.
100%.
The very end, we need to talk about their Fargo moment.
Yes. Hit me. Go for it.
When the human centipede gets thrown into the chipper shredder that happens to be in their parking garage for no apparent reason.
There are a lot of trees in there, is what you're saying. In the garage. Trees.
I was waiting for the Bruce Campbell moment where all the chunks just form into tiny Bruce Campbells and they all just start running around the parking garage.
Yeah, right. It was coming. The moment you acknowledge, the moment you notice it's a wood chipper, you know that ain't an accident. There's going to be some kind of chipping going
Yeah.
on. No question. No question. Now, let me tell you this. Did you notice the Bruce Campbell cameo in this?
Who was Bruce Campbell in this?
When they play the first record, and
Oh,
it's
no.
like, oh, we're going to start reading the cantations from the book. You hear a voice say, "What are you doing? Destroy the book. Destroy the book." That's Bruce Campbell.
I was never gonna get that.
I
Now,
wasn't
did you
either.
hear that, or did you look that up?
I looked that up. Yeah, I never would have got that. So, if it's an Evil Dead movie, Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell are going to be involved in some capacity. And it also means they've given it their seal of approval. Okay? So just understand that going into this. So, such as life.
At one point, the aunt goes to listen to the records. There's no translation. Nobody knows what this shit's saying.
Right.
So what was the point of her putting it back on? On top of that, there was
Right.
no electricity in the house, but she manages to find some giant battery from 1972
Yes.
that I have personally never set foot. That battery has never been in any house I have owned in my life, but magically appears, and you can run that entire hi-fi system off with a soldering iron and this Bizarro battery.
Well, like you said, she's an electrician and she's
So
used to
did
doing
she
audio.
make the battery too?
She made it from scratch, 100%.
Oh my god!
She has skills, is what we're trying to. She's not just a groupie. She has skills as well.
I mean, there's so many callbacks. Dead by Dawn, Dead by
Dead
Dawn,
by Dawn.
The
Yes.
Shining. I mean, come on.
You're saying these are bad things. Is the gist
It's
I'm
like
getting?
it's done now in every horror film.
Yes, it's true.
It's like we have a concept, but let's show them how clever we are. We're gonna play Where's Waldo in every fucking scene.
These are called Easter eggs, Aaron. It's not
They're
Where's
not an
Waldo.
Easter egg when the rabbit is literally just shitting on you. the whole movie.
That is true, 100%. Do you have anything else you want to share, or shall we move on?
What did I wrote here? Something hostage to demon? I don't know. Everything is a biohazard. Everything is a contagion.
Yes,
By the end, people are just swimming in sauce.
they are. Well, that wasn't the elevator fills up with
Yeah, it was The
marinara.
Shining. It was
Yes.
filled with marinara, and then literally you see the shining carpet, and you're on the outside of the elevator. Okay,
That's true.
so
that's true.
Hotel Artemis has got more problems.
I mean, here's the other thing. It's like going forward, and I don't have any information about this, but it would seem like going forward, if they do more Evil Dead movies, they will be kind of these self-contained stories without kind of a through line per se.
So
Right.
I think the beginning and the end were tacked on because they ran short of time.
It would
Honestly,
seem that, yes.
It seems
does
like 'cause
seem
you
that way.
start off where like you see the two sisters because there's stories of sisters. And so I thought they were the guy. The only good thing about that is one woman is literally scalped. And now I'm pretty sure most of my hair would come off before half my scalp
Before the
flies
skin
off.
comes off, yeah, you would
Before
think.
the skin comes off. I think you need to pierce something for that all to just slide off. But
You'd think.
I feel it felt like it was just tacked on because they were running short. They needed to be at 90 minutes. This movie is 94 minutes, which to me is one of the most beautiful things of this movie is that blessedly it was right around 90 minutes.
It's not Killers of the Flower Moon, is what you're saying.
No. I think when they got down to it and they realized, oh shit, this movie's 65 minutes. What are we going to do now? We had to cut out so much because it was such bullshit and nonsense. What do we do now? I've got an idea. Let's tack on this beginning and end that are totally useless and have no meaning. Because then we don't even know what happens to the girl who survives. Is she taking a nap in her car? Where is she? What's happening?
No, we don't know anything.
No.
You're right. And there's no, what I was going to say is that they don't bring back the girl from 2013's Evil Dead to have an appearance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Did
like
she crawl out of the vault too?
she's maybe
Like the
she's
Chud. She's the Chud.
absolutely. Why can't that be a shared universe? Am I right?
Dude, we need more Chud and giant ants. What if the Chud were riding giant ants in the sewers of Los
Well,
Angeles?
why not? It writes itself. 100%.
Writes itself. Genius.
Let's go behind the scenes, shall we?
Yeah, we better. We're at 9 hours at this point.
We absolutely are. Director Lee Cronin stated in an interview that 6,500 liters or 1,720 gallons of fake blood were used for this movie.
That's what you have to be proud of. You knew you weren't getting Emmys or Academy Awards.
This film,
That's what I lead with.
I mentioned this earlier. This film was originally meant to release exclusively on HBO Max via direct to streaming, but it performed so strongly during test screenings that the studio decided to release it theatrically instead. Boom.
Theatrically.
The pizza place is called Henrietta's. Do you know why it's called Henrietta's?
Henrietta Hippo from the Newsy Review.
Absolutely. No, it's because Henrietta was the name of the demon in the basement in Evil Dead 2. The woman was Henrietta. There you go.
Don't care.
Okay. Inside the cabin in the prologue of the film is a ticking clock on the wall. It's the exact same clock as the one Cheryl is drawing in The Evil Dead, the original.
They should have taken all this detail instead of doing all this product placement and nonsense. How about just writing a better script? How about that? How about that?
To get into character of an alternate personality, actress Alyssa Sutherland, who's the mom, took inspiration from Jim Carrey's performance as Stanley Ipkiss in The Mask from 1994.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Also, something else I hate. So, something I hate is a homage to something I hate more. There we go.
That makes sense. If you look at Ellie's arms, they are wrapped in tattoos of vines. This is a nod to Cheryl from The Evil Dead, Bobby Joe from Evil Dead 2, and Mia from Evil Dead, who were all attacked and bound by vines in the previous movies.
They were raped, I believe.
I think that's 100%.
Nice. This was written by a bunch of men who are up way too late, geeking on Evil Dead and Red Bull, listening to Rob Zombie, and right before they passed out, they took some fentanyl and then wrote this shit.
Why does it have to be fentanyl? Good Lord. Sweet
That's
Jesus.
what the cool kids are doing.
That is what the cool kids are doing. The sound of Ellie biting out a man's eyeball in the hallway is actually an auto recording of Bruce Campbell furiously biting into an apple. So there you go.
It doesn't make it better.
Crunch.
It doesn't make it better. If they said that Bruce Campbell was held hostage right off the set, that doesn't make it better.
100%. We talked about this as a Bruce Campbell cameo. In the first of the 3 records Danny plays, Bruce can be heard saying, "Destroy it. It's called The Book of the Dead for a reason." So there you go. That was him.
Thank you, Bruce.
Shall we talk about the cast and
Don't
crew?
get me wrong. I love you, Bruce Campbell.
We love you. No question. Let's see. Lee Cronin was the writer and the director. You know him from such things as Evil Dead Rise, The Hole in the Ground in 2019, and Ghost Train, short, in 2013.
Exactly. The Hole in the Ground? Isn't that what this movie is too?
Womp, womp, womp. Let's see. Let's look at the cast. Mirabai Pease played Teresa, the sister, I believe. Can't tell because they all look different than they normally look.
Is this like filmed in Croatia?
Oh, no.
Or did they have Canada money?
So she's the daughter. She's the daughter. You know her from Evil Dead Rise. She was in 5 episodes of The Gulf, 4 episodes of Black Hands, and 14 episodes of Head High.
I think this is from some other country.
Maybe I think they're all Australian, if I'm remembering this correctly.
These are the people who didn't make the A24
Oh!
set.
I'm sorry. These are the actors who are in the prologue. I'm just gonna
Oh.
skip them and go to the main characters that we care about.
They were an afterthought.
Oh, sweet Jesus. Alyssa Sutherland played Ellie. That was the mom. That's the mom. You know her from Evil Dead Rise. She was in 35 episodes of Vikings.
No.
She was Clacker in The Devil Wears Prada.
Oh, I did. I do love The Devil Wears Prada.
And she was in 10 episodes of the sci-fi series The Mist.
I bet you saw that.
I saw the first episode and I said, I'm out. I'm out. Let's see. Oh, good help.
I'm not familiar with a character called Clacker.
I'm not either. Lily Sullivan played Beth. I think that's the sister. Because they all look so different, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
No, this is the sister. Here it is. You know her from Mental in 2012. She was in 6 episodes of Picnic at Hanging Rock in 2018.
Series? I know that was a movie. Now it's a series. Everything's a series.
Everything's a series. She was in Evil Dead Rise as Beth, and she was in 8 episodes of Barkskins.
Another country has to be.
Something. Anybody else you want to know about? Good grief.
The daughter.
The
Ebolia, Little Miss Ebolia.
the young daughter, the youngest, middle,
the middle daughter.
Bridget, Gabrielle Eccles. You know her from Evil Dead Rise, Reminiscence, the South Jersey Horror Podcast.
Oh, that could be us, Kevin.
And the Horror Heathen YouTube channel. So not too much. Few things.
What about the brother? Are we going to determine non-binary? What's the story?
Danny was played by Morgan Davies.
Oh,
you know him from The Hunter in 2011. Evil Dead Rise as
he was
Danny.
A fetus.
The Tree in 2010 and Terra Nova, 2 episodes in 2011.
These people are all from a foreign country. I've never heard of any of this stuff.
It's something. And I think that's about it. I mean, there are other, and then it says Bruce Campbell as dissenting voice on recording. So there you go. Let's talk about the rating, shall we?
Yes.
And now that I'm looking at this, Danny is actually played by a trans actor.
Okay.
So that makes sense.
Did you watch Ripley?
No. Is that good?
Sting's daughter is non-binary and plays one of the characters.
Oh, that's cool. And what is it on? Netflix?
One of those things.
One of those things. Evil Dead Rise, currently 84% on Rotten Tomatoes. Do you know what the audience gave it?
52?
76. Boom.
I don't even know what's happening.
Richard Roper, he's a top critic of the Chicago Sun-Times, says, in addition to dropping in visual tips of the hat to certain elements from the Evil Dead franchise, writer-director Cronin delivers some outstanding callbacks, 3 out of 4.
Can we just be over the callbacks? Can we be done with that now?
Cannot, as a matter of fact. Let's see. Let's see if there's somebody else that's interesting that we want to talk about.
No, there's not.
I saw one that I thought was kind of interesting. Nick Shager from the Daily Beast.
All right.
A lack of wit turns out to be the least of the problems plaguing the sequel, which proves a de rigueur debacle, only capable of clunkily playing the hits. Boom. So that's kind of an Aaron type review right there.
Boom.
What is your rating for Evil Dead Rise?
I'm going to give this Evil Dead Should Not Rise. And it is not a sequel because it really has nothing to do with the movie that came before this.
Okay.
And I'm going to take it all, pack it up, put it in the fucking chipper shredder, and hope it don't rise again. Aaron says, don't check it out. 2 reluctant out of 5.
2 reluctant out of 5. I did not hate it as much as you.
I wanted to say 1.5, but it's not as bad as that. It is just shitty, and it's not my taste.
I didn't hate it as much as you.
I'm offended by it.
You're outraged. I'm going to give it 2.5 eyeballs in your mouth out of 5.
I hope you eat grapes tomorrow and all you think about are eyeballs.
It could happen. It could happen. It's fine, or maybe not. Just
it's fine.
A step below fine.
It's fine.
I mean, I don't love it, but clearly there are people out there who loved it.
There are people out there who enjoy Faces of Death, if you're old enough to remember that.
Yeah, there are. It's just kind of one of those things where it really didn't blow my skirt up. I really didn't have that many notes. I think I had one note to start.
I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was fun.
I'm kind of there with you, honestly. But you seem to hate it. I didn't hate it. I thought it was just kind of mediocre.
It made me angry.
It enraged you.
Angry.
Clearly.
It enraged me. I feel like I wasted my time.
We've seen some clunkers in our day, Aaron. I don't think this is a clunker.
They say that as long as, like art, as long as there's an emotion, so maybe it's a masterpiece and I just can't accept it.
I'm not saying that. You just can't accept a masterpiece.
They say where you're just like, huh. It gave me a reaction. It's just that I want to punch fake Cronenberg next time I see him.
next time you see him.
Next time.
Fair enough. So, thank you very much. Go to our page across the interweb. We're on Facebook.
Across the universe.
We're on X, Blue Sky, Threads, Instagram, TikTok. You may be watching us on YouTube this very moment, for goodness sakes.
Maybe.
You can also email us, the podcast that wouldn't die, at Gmail. We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. Won't you? Won't you?
Won't you? I said it, but it was quiet.
That was very quiet. Aaron.
Oh, Jimmy, my neighbor.
What is your social media situation?
I'm just going to tell you this. I'm the cult of Aaron, the _cult _ Aaron on the Insta. I believe I'm still on First Dibs and Artsy. Currently, I have some work over at the Bakersfield Museum of Art. You can see me if you go to Analog Forever online magazine and top 20 photographers from spring. Polaroid week. Boom.
Beautiful.
And I'm hanging by a thread on X. Oh, and soon to be the star of the all-female radio play of Reservoir Dogs with yours truly as Mr. Pink.
Oh, really? That's a big role. Good for you.
Yeah, it's a big role. I printed out the 80 pages script at work and sat there with my highlighter going, oh, is this all about me?
And now this is for Cinema Recall?
The Vern.
Yeah, very good. I noticed he didn't call me.
It's an all-woman production.
Oh, I guess that makes sense.
We're all Mr. This and that, but we all refer to ourselves as she.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
Where can people see that, by the way? When is that going into production?
I'm at the point where I printed the script and highlighted it, so you ain't going to be seeing it for a little while.
We'll be there with bated breath. Very cool. Very cool.
I was like 80 pages. I'm like, ooh. Since I was printing it at work, maybe I should do double side.
You may be right. As you know, we like to share comments and questions from our friends across the interwebs.
We got some good ones this week.
How do you know? Oh, because I
texted him to me.
That's true.
Biscuit.
Responding to our episode, The Prestige, which had our buddy Ian from the Best Film Ever podcast. Steve Weinrich says, another fantastic podcast on a classic. I totally identified with the "Did yours have Ed Norton" comment. Absolutely. Ultimately had to watch both, and Prestige won out over The Illusionist, in my opinion. He goes on to say so many other positive things, which I'm not going to read. So thank you very much, Steve.
No, there was a positive thing about Aaron.
Okay. Ian, you brought a certain je ne sais quoi to TPTW Die, especially at 4730 into it. When you explore the idea that the three parts of Magic Act is a metaphor for the film's storyline structure. Nolan is indeed stunningly good at the multi-layer meta-level storytelling. And thanks to Aaron for explaining to everyone why non-Wolverine Jackman is a dud. I get it now. LOL.
I'm glad I was able to explain that. Although why it needed to be explained, I'm not sure. He is a dud, except in his hyper-masculine role. And dare I say, I did not like him as Jean Valjean in Les Mis.
You preferred Russell Crowe as Javert?
First of all, I would have preferred if it was not an operetta, but a musical. He was okay as Javert. I mean, he can't always be the Pope's exorcist.
He clearly cannot.
But I'm glad he signed on. I'm excited.
Do you know what's funny? He's in another movie that's coming out in the next month or two called just The Exorcism, which is unrelated. How many exorcism movies are you going to do, Russell Crowe?
He's going to be like, when people see him, they're going to genuflect and kiss his ring.
As they should.
Dude, he may be our next Pope. I don't know.
The new Pope.
I just hope the next Pope's exorcist fix all the problems. Because really, he was the star of that. The whole story was nonsense, but he was fantastic.
He carried the show, no question.
He carried the show on his back, on his Vespa, as he rode his Vespa from Rome to Spain. Whee!
That's not a short drive either, let me tell you.
With no luggage.
Our buddy Leo Allen Jr., talking about The Prestige, said, I remember when this came out and simply didn't look interesting to me in the ads. Now, thanks to you guys, I'm going to have to check it out. Boom! Another satisfied customer.
Yeah, literally, I was never going to watch it. My friend Cian gave me a cocktail one time when I was staying over at he and his wife's house, and he forced me to watch. They're like, no, you have to watch The Prestige.
The Prestige. I enjoy it, no question.
Yeah.
Next week, as you guys know, actually, in a few weeks, or you may not know this, we are going to be on our friend Ed, the Film Effect podcast, to discuss Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. And what we always like to do is squeeze out every ounce of blood from that stone. So we're going to do our own episode on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 as well.
I have never seen it.
You haven't even seen the first one, right?
No, I think I've seen the first one. Yeah, but now maybe I'm getting it confused with X.
Yes, they are related.
And I was also a little confused with, there was that X-File episode with the people that would roll out underneath the bed. It was like the weird fidgety family.
I don't remember that one, but I'll have to check it out.
Really, X-Files were some dark and dank biz.
Dark and dank, no question. You can watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 from 1986.
On the Disney Channel?
100%. It is on Prime Video, free with subscription.
Finally, something free.
It's on Hoopla. It's on Tubi, Pluto TV, all sorts of good stuff. So check that out. Send any favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and we may talk about it on the show. We need to watch
something Japanese before I leave on my trip for Japan, too. We need to come up with something. Maybe that's the poll you need to put on the Twitski.
Ringu? We still haven't done Ringu.
We haven't done Ringu.
Add it to the list.
I need to plant that into my head before I land in Osaka.
That you are the Ringu.
Dude, I'll wear my black wig for that recording.
Well, we'll add it to the list. So, thank you very much, and be well.
Good day.